Looks like we are live. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, coming through. Ooh, getting some red. Let's see. Settle in here, make sure we're okay. We'll wait to get some eyeballs on this just to make sure we're coming through okay. We're talking about the step-by-step plan for getting full fee clients today. I'm going to introduce you to a new framework around visibility and marketing your practice that I think could potentially really change the game for lots of folks. So, like I said, hopefully we're coming through okay. If you can see and hear me, will you do me a favor and like this video? Let me know, even if you're just scrolling on by, give me a thumbs up that we're good. Every so often. There we go. Thank you for those thumbs up. Wonderful. All right, I'm really happy if you're able to join me live. I'm happy you're here. Please say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're joining from. I'm so thrilled you get to be here with me live. The benefit of that is getting to ask questions. If you've never been to one of these trainings before, I'll get through my teaching portion and then questions you have, I will answer here at the end. If you're catching the replay, that is wonderful too. Please drop a hashtag replay into the comments to let me know that you are watching now, whether that is a week or a month from now. And I am happy to come back and answer questions even if this has been up for a bit. So here we are. Like I said, we're talking about how to stop guessing in your marketing because I think, especially these days, a lot of clinicians feel like they're guessing. So, has anyone else felt like maybe you are throwing spaghetti at the wall with your marketing recently? You know you need to. It's not an issue of it being a priority, but you just don't know what to do. It's something I hear from a lot of clinicians. And I think one of the biggest transitions that I've seen need to happen in our space is we are firmly in post-pandemic times. And so if you started your practice during the pandemic, or just were in practice through that, you got to sort of sit back and get clients. It was a good time, and obviously, it was not a good time in many ways, but it was a good time to market your practice because the need was so great. We were all at home, and the way that you connected with clients and ultimately converted them looked different than it does now. Now, I know that we are in the midst of some economic uncertainty, and there's just a lot of unrest in our world. That no doubt is going to influence your clients' decisions to go to therapy. What I do know, despite all this uncertainty, is people are still showing up. They are still looking for therapists. They are still paying full fee. I have clinician after clinician who are evidence of this. So if you're feeling discouraged, or if you're feeling unsure, I want you to know you're not alone in that. It's a common theme that I'm seeing. And also, success is still available. It's still out there. It's still possible. And my hope is that this training and what we do here in this community can support you in not just believing that, but actually taking action on it. If this is your first time joining one of these trainings, we've crossed 20,000 therapists in this group. Can you believe that? Um, if you're newer around here, my name is Anna Walker. I get to run this community. It's the best place on the internet, if you ask me. And at the end of the day, what we are about here is helping you market yourself in a way that is effective, because hello, I believe you deserve to get clients, and especially full fee ones, but also authentic to you, that you get to market yourself in a way that feels good, that aligns with your energy, with your bandwidth, with your desires, and with your goals. So today, like I said, we're talking about a new framework that I want to introduce you to. We call it the visibility ladder. And here's the thing, so many clinicians know they need to be visible, and very few of them know how. Isn't that nice? You're told to pick a niche, but no one tells you how. You're told to be visible, but no one tells you how. I want to, explore that and support you in figuring that out. So I want you to know that marketing isn't about doing absolutely everything. If you've heard me here before, you know that if we can choose a handful of strategies and do those with excellence, you're probably going to get better results than if you're spreading yourself thin across lots of different strategies. But in order to do that well, we need to understand what to do next based on where you are right now. Before we get into this visibility ladder, a friendly reminder about what we call the client journey, because if we had to simplify marketing, it comes down to the client journey. So there are three phases that your clients go through when deciding who to reach out to and who they're going to work with as a therapist, Their therapist. The first stage of the client journey is unaware. They are unaware of you. They've never heard your name. They don't know you exist. All they know is I have a problem and I think it's time to speak to a therapist about it. That's the first stage. The next stage is aware. They learned your name. They heard about you. They know you exist. But just because they know you exist does not mean they are going to become a paying client, right? The final stage of the client journey is sure. That is where they are sure you're the therapist they've been looking for. They're ready to engage. They reach out, they schedule a consult, and they become a client. Your marketing's job is simply to help people across that journey. That's it. Now, what we're talking about here today is primarily that first piece of the puzzle, going from unaware to aware. There are 3 tiers to what I call the visibility ladder. The first tier, the bottom one, if we imagine this is sort of a ladder that we're going up, is what I call passive visibility. Now, nothing in marketing is actually passive. You are having to put effort into everything you do, right? But these are the things that are effectively set it and forget it. So this means that you can be found. You are findable. A Psychology Today profile is a great example. You're out there. It's up to the algorithm and your clients and the universe as to whether or not people land on that Psychology Today profile. So you can be found, but you're not actively actually doing anything to drive people to that other than having hopefully a well-optimized Psychology Today profile. Maybe use our Psych Today Success Pack. Another example, your website. Your website is in part of your passive visibility. You have it out there, but just because it's out there doesn't mean the clients are going to come. We talk about kind of the field of dreams situation, right? It's not a build it and they will come situation, but they could find you. You are visible in some way. A Google business profile is another good example. Again, it's out there. Whether or not people find it is up to a bunch of factors beyond your control. So in this first tier, it's called passive visibility, and passive sort of has a negative connotation. I want to assure you, this is critical. Your passive visibility is critical. Your website, your Google business profile, your site today, this is the lowest hanging fruit. Hello, it's the lowest rung on the ladder. You've got to do it. And the only way you're going to get to these other tiers is if you have this in place first. So it's essential, but it's also limited. And that's what I think so many therapists need to hear. They need to hear that just because you have the Psych Today profile or the website or the Google business profile doesn't mean the clients are coming. You are waiting for them to find you. And if you just have those things, chances are eventually you will get clients. People will find you one way or another. But if all you do is passive visibility and then you're frustrated that you aren't getting clients, you haven't taken an active role in that part yet. This is where, I've said for years, one of the beauties and challenges, but beauties of growing a private practice is that marketing and getting clients is not a one size fits all situation. You don't have to do one particular thing. You don't have to post on Instagram and make reels. You don't have to blog. And so beyond this first tier, you get to decide what to do. That should be exciting and liberating. You also need to take responsibility for doing something. Okay, so this is where kind of that active, not passive, but active part of your marketing is going to come into play. So we have tier 1, the passive visibility. That's the bottom of the ladder. The next rung up is what we call active visibility. Okay, this is where you are actively getting in front of people. You are actually getting out there and making sure people know your name, that people can go from unaware to aware because of something you actively did. So examples here are the traditional networking, right? Networking one-on-one with other therapists, with other professionals, responding in Facebook groups, whether those are therapist Facebook groups or client-facing groups. Maybe you're posting on social. You might be running ads. Running ads is a good example of definitely active visibility. You're sort of pushing your information out as opposed to passively accepting it. You might be writing blogs or doing that type of thing to enhance your SEO to hopefully bring in people. These are examples of active visibility. Now you are becoming more visible here, right? You are doing things. There are things within your control. There are actions you are taking to make sure people know about you. I see way too many therapists hang out on rung 1. Just hang out there on the first bottom rung, thinking I did the things where the clients, they haven't taken any sort of active role in their marketing. So that's where that next tier comes in, is active visibility. Active visibility is critical in this market. We used to kind of be able to sit back on our haunches and rely on tier one. Not anymore. How you do active visibility is up to you. How you network, up to you. Whether or not you're on Facebook, up to you. Social media, whatever. But you do have to do something in this market, okay? And then the third tier is what I call authority. So we have passive, we have active, and then we have authority. Authority is where you start to sort of plant your stake or your flag in the ground and really build recognition. This isn't something you just rush to. If you are brand new to private practice, you're going to start on the bottom ring, then you're going to work to the second, then you're going to work to the third. But this is a really, really powerful strategy for the clinician who's ready to kind of take their marketing to the next level. This is going to look like hosting workshops or trainings. Maybe you're going to be featured on podcasts or summits. You might start creating a more of like a recognizable body of content. That could be a YouTube channel, that could be your own podcast, that could be a blog series, whatever that might be. But you're becoming known for something. You are the go-to for something. Getting PR mentions, media features, those types of things where the visibility that you're getting is more closely related to your niche than just any client or any clinician might get. So this isn't just about content, but about really owning a specific space in people's minds. If you've been listening to my new podcast, hopefully you have, Marketing Therapy, I've been talking a lot about how critical it is in this market to be memorable. Why is it important to be memorable right now? Because people are still paying for therapy. Like I said at the beginning of this training, we have evidence to show us that. But what's interesting is that people are taking longer between thinking about therapy unaware to sure. They're taking longer to move across that journey. It's not that they're not going on it, it's that they're taking longer. And we know that your clients are likely looking at 5, 7, probably more, 10, 12 different therapy websites. And then they're thinking about it. Are you coming to mind? It's an important question to ask. Are you coming to mind? Are you memorable? This authority visibility is becoming memorable in that way. It's you coming to mind when a colleague thinks of a high conflict couple. Bam, gotta send it to this person. Or when we kicked off with a clinician today who specializes in sports psychology for teens and college athletes. When someone runs across a teen who has all this potential to, go pro or whatever, and is struggling with his anxiety or his, pregame jitters, who's coming to mind? So authority is where you start to carve out, like I said, a space in people's minds. This is the layer, the tier that you add on after the other two are strong. If you're a brand new clinician right now and you want to jump into starting a podcast, you're probably going to have a hard time. That wouldn't be my first recommendation for you. Instead, we want to build that foundation, that tier one, then start getting comfortable with active visibility. And then as you form your point of view and hone your niche, then you can move into that third tier of authority. So hopefully this framework is helpful for you and helpful in realizing which tier you've been hanging out on, okay? So a good question, some sort of questions to ask yourself here: where are your clients usually finding you? How are they finding you? Are they finding you on site today? Awesome, that's good, we love that, we want that. Are they finding you via networking? Are they finding you coming to you asking for EFT intensives? We worked with a clinician who does that. Where do your clients currently come from and what are they looking for? Here's a huge question I want you to ask yourself. Are you mostly waiting to be found and feeling frustrated with your marketing? Or are you actually initiating connections and visibility and awareness? A lot of the clinicians I meet, I actually met with one earlier this month. He's feeling stressed. He's feeling stressed in his marketing. I said, okay, what have you been doing? Not much. Okay. The frustration, the uncertainty, totally fair, but you got to take responsibility for it, right? You need to do something to move that needle forward. And finally, are people referring to you as the go-to for a particular topic, modality, niche, client type, whatever that might be? This can help you identify, like I said, which tier, which rung of the ladder you've been hanging out on. And if you are spending too much time too high on that ladder without the other two pieces in place, or the lower rungs in place, you might have a harder time actually making use of the effort that you're putting in. So I want to give you some concrete actions here, right? That's why I love these trainings, because I can actually tell you what to, walk away with something, right? And if this is resonating with you, feel free, like I said, to use those comments. But identify what tier you're either at or you're ready to get to, and build your visibility plan, okay? So if tier 1 is your focus, if you need to really set that foundation, then we need to do things like audit, optimize, or just launch your Psych Today profile. Yes, Psych Today still works. I will die on that hill. You've heard me say it. Like I said, the Psych Today Success Pack, really helpful for that. Get that strong strategic website in place. Everything that you do, active, authority, passive, all leads back to your website. So make sure that that is really, really strong. That truly is the foundation of your marketing. Add that really niche specific, that really client friendly language. Don't get caught up in the jargon. Don't get caught up in your credentials. Speak to the client that you ultimately want to be bringing in, the niche that you want to be known for. And then make sure that the whole process for getting in touch with you, whether that's via Psych Today, your website, Google Business Profile, whatever that might be, make sure that that is super easy, super clear. I met with a clinician last week who had a broken button on one of her websites, or on one of the pages of her website, for an untold amount of time, which was alarming to her. Another, the contact form wasn't working. Okay, we got to make sure those pieces are in place, right? We got to make sure people can reach out to you. So if you don't know where to start in your marketing, you're brand new to this, we got to start with that passive visibility. And passive here is not bad. It is foundational. It is essential. Get those pieces in place. They are your lowest hanging fruit. Then we can't stop there. Okay. So after you've got that in place, then we need to work on that tier 2 focus, which is getting really consistently visible. Get comfortable realizing that your marketing is going to need ongoing effort in your business. You are a business owner. This is part of it, especially now. And I think some clinicians have had a hard time embracing and accepting that fact. Okay. So I recommend here that you choose 1 to 2 active strategies. And that might be based on your availability. That might be based on your energy, your desire to connect directly with people. I work with lots of clinicians who identify as introverts and don't necessarily love the idea of sitting down in one-on-one networking meetings. You don't have to, but choose 1 to 2 active strategies that you are going to be consistent with. Okay. So that could be networking coffee chats. That could be group settings that you coordinate. I've heard of great success when clinicians set up local meetups, a monthly blog post, commenting in Facebook groups, whether those are client facing again or therapist facing. You got to do something, and you've got to do it with consistency. Consistency beats variety here. You don't have to be spreading yourself thin, like I said earlier, across every single possible strategy, but you do have to do something, and you do have to do it regularly. You get to decide what that is, but you've got to do something. Could be social media, networking, blogging, whatever that's going to be. But choose 1 to 2 active strategies that you're going to commit to over the long term. I'm talking 6 to 12 months at least, where you will consistently show up to those strategies. And then finally, if you're like, all right, I'm doing those things, we're good, then really move into that tier 3 of kind of claiming your space, becoming known for something. So ask yourself, what do you want to be known for? This is actually one of my favorite questions to ask our done for you clients. I ask them in our kickoff calls. What do you want your practice that you are creating to be known for? Sit with that, explore it, figure out what comes up there. What do you want to come to mind when people think of you as a clinician or the practice that you own? What do you hope comes to mind? What are you uniquely positioned to talk about? This can go lots of different directions. One of the cool ways you can do this is through what's called a micro niche. Ellie, who is a member of our community, specializes, has kind of a micro niche in animal lovers, whether that is someone navigating pet loss or behavior, like difficult behavior pets, or like vets and veterinary professionals, um, animal welfare workers, things like that. So anyone that loves animals, that's a micro niche of hers. And she's able to establish a cool level of expertise in that space. And it opens up a lot of marketing opportunities for her. So, what are you uniquely positioned to talk about that you want to become known for? Once you guys establish that, if you decide tier 3 is where you're really focusing your time and energy, then choose a channel to deepen that authority. Reach out to in Ellie's example, a veterinary's office and offer to put on a workshop. Pitch yourself to a podcast that's relevant to your niche. Become a resource to journalists via Quoted, which is you might know Haro, help a reporter out. That's no longer around, but Quoted is a good alternative to that. There's a couple other platforms that you can use to get in touch with journalists and to be a source for publications. Or create a niche specific content series. Maybe you're comfortable on YouTube, maybe you want to write a blog post, maybe you're going to do this via social media, but start carving out that space that you want to occupy in people's minds. What should come to mind when I think of you? That's where you start to get really creative and hopefully really lit up and excited around your marketing when you start to really identify what that is. All right, so that is the visibility ladder that I have been excited to introduce you to. Tier 1 is that passive foundation. We've got to have it. It's low-hanging fruit. If you do nothing else, you'll probably get clients, but getting those clients is not particularly in your control. We need to move then into the tier 2 of active visibility. That is where you are regularly engaging with your marketing and making sure people know about you. And then tier 3 is the authority visibility, where you are carving out space in people's minds around a particular topic. That is where you get to start being really creative and really fun with your marketing. Marketing doesn't need to feel like guessing, okay? That's the subtitle of this training, right? Is how to stop guessing in your marketing. If you haven't been sure what to do, start here. Check the boxes of the passive. Choose some from the active. Engage, be consistent, do it with excellence. When you're ready, layer on that authority piece. This can help give direction to the actions you take in your marketing and hopefully eliminate that overwhelm that so many clinicians are prone to. It doesn't have to be quite that confusing, okay? If we make sure that we're pulling from the right areas in the right order. When you know where you are, even at tier 1, you know what to do next. You know what to do next, okay? And remember, you do not have to do everything. You absolutely do not. You just need to build smart and sustainable visibility over time. Remember, your marketing's job at its core is simply to help people across this journey. Your website has the power to do that aware to sure all in its own. So that's why we don't spend as much time in that part of the client journey, at least not in this training. But you need to make sure that your marketing is doing some heavy lifting on this side of things, helping people go from unaware to aware. How are you helping people do that? How are you helping people do that? That's all this is about, is making sure people know that you exist, that the incredible work that you do is available to them, and then let the rest of your marketing draw those folks all the way over to that shore where they decide to get in touch with you, okay? So before you log off today, I want you to identify your current tier and where you need to be focusing. Choose at least one action aligned with that tier, and then carve out 30 minutes this week or next week to take action on it, or to start taking action on it on a consistent basis. All right, no comments today. Hopefully that's because this made a whole ton of sense. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for what you learn as you engage in these different tiers. I'm cheering for you. Success is out there. This is possible. And I'll see you in the next episode. I've been saying that with marketing therapy in the next training. Bye, guys.